Are you all caught up on podcasts? Are you tired of listening to the same music over and over and need some fresh new tracks? Well, look no further. Gnome here, and I'm teaming up with the Hater, the Tailgater, the Tyrader, and Zuck's favorite prisoner. That's right, Jake from the Bleach Bros podcast. We are bringing you the Hateful Gnomes Music Hut, a bi-weekly mini podcast all about music. We are covering music recommendations, bands, personal stories, concerts, even why Jake listens to the Beebs. Make sure you are following both the Bleach Bros and the Dads on Dayquil for updates. Episodes are alternating on both feeds. Raise the curtain, hit the lights, turn the dials to 11, horns up, we are live, baby.
I am Tyler Havlin. I am the big, the bald, the beautiful, the brash, and the oftentimes bastardly host of the Inner Idiot podcast. And you are currently listening to While I Masturbate, the Bleach Bros podcast.
Welcome into the Bleach Brothers podcast. This is B-Word, and as usual, I'm here with this guy, this hell of a guy. I'm looking at him, and I don't know how to describe him. I'm kind of thinking that he might have been a woman once in a past life.
Only for you.
But he's definitely a guy. It's my good buddy, Jake. Jake the Hater. You had something pretty interesting happen this week. You went back on television.
I did. I started back on television. It was the first time that they let anybody. Well, I found this out. They only can have one person in the studio a day per show. So I was honored to be the invited guest. I had to go through all the protocols still, COVID safety and all that. But I will admit I was rusty, B-Word. It was not my hottest performance. I love it because you've met my mother, my mama, the little midget that she is, the angry, happy midget. My wife and kid tell me how amazing I do, right?
Right. And
then I call my mom. She goes, "Hey, you did okay. You could have done this different. You could have done that." And I just love the blunt honesty. Because, sometimes you need that, right? You need motherly love, but you also need them to help you improve, right?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I did okay. I was happy with the dish. I was happy with what I put out. I am one of those people, and I'm trying to learn this, and I'm even learning this with you, and I'm thankful for you because actually this is a Thursday night due to my own problems. I overbooked myself all day yesterday, and I've been doing it lately. And it's and you even warned me. And the best part is you have a smile on your face right now because you're just like, I know, I was right. And yeah, you were. No, I did that. Like I was trying to do TV work, get around, have family come into town, keep dinner going,
record with Gnome,
then record with you, and I was just like, at some point I hit a wall.
Well, and that's okay, man. Like it's actually been quite a week because you just got off vacation and you got some bullshit going on at work, and then I've got some bullshit going on at work, and then we recorded for the Dungeons and Podcasts intro or the imitation episode.
Hello. Ogre, dude. I want to see that dude naked.
Well, Ogre was definitely naked when that was being recorded. That is a fact. But so speaking of Ogre and the Dungeons and Podcasts, if people aren't quite following us on Twitter, what are we talking about? Like, how did we get involved in this?
So there's an indie podcast bracket challenge, and I'm going to be honest. I'm hazy on how we got put into the bracket. I don't know if I made a message or you made a message or.
So there's a group, I want to say on Twitter, the Poorhouse Podcast group, if I remember correctly, and there's several podcasts that are in there. For those of you that are not in the podcast community that are listening to us, there's quite a bit of group messages that go around on all the different socials to try to help lift up other podcasts. So when we have new episodes that release, we'll send it into the groups, and then a lot of times they'll share it with their own followers and whatnot to try to do that. And I think that damn podcast came up with the idea because it was in March. Everybody seemed to be doing bracket challenges. I know that we were sharing our Cartoon Madness brackets and having people vote on our own stuff at that time. And shortly after the March Madness ended, somebody came up with doing a Twitter bracket for podcasts, if I imagine. And then you said, yeah, we're in. We'll do it. right? And we had some other.
It was me. Yeah, blame me. I know it probably was.
We had some other podcast people that were in it, like Dad's on Dayquill, Inner Idiot
for Tyler,
Big Nick from Gag on this. There's quite a bit of podcasts that are in this. I think we started with 64, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, just like a traditional bracket, 64 in there. It's been fun. It's been 6 weeks of a lot of work. I will tell you, you've put a shit ton of work into it. I have tried to keep up with my abilities of what I could do. I failed miserably for us for our rap challenge, even though you've continued the diss track tradition and been doing a killer job with that. I am now just dedicated hype man.
You're a perfect hype man, though. Like, going into the bar, like, there's nobody that I'd much rather go into a bar with than you, because you're the type of wingman that's going to get like anybody laid. It doesn't matter if you're in a wheelchair and you have 3 arms. You're going to get them laid. And that's the perfect hype man. But you're also a good lyricist. You come up with great lyrics, and I enjoy those lyrics. So don't discount yourself. We flubbed on the end of a song, but overall the content's been pretty fun. And of course you went scorched earth for a minute, but we'll get into that shortly.
I had to be myself.
Yeah. So Jake the Hater became Jake the Hater. So ultimately the first challenge was creating a meme. And for me, I was very much about trying to create a logo, because I'm good at creating logos or graphics or, things like
banners,
that.
Yeah, stuff like that.
And you are a meme extraordinaire. So you said, hey, B, stop trying to make this about creating an image, make it a fucking meme. And then we came up with a meme against Whiskey Hell. And our meme was basically 2 construction guys. One of them was wearing a thong with the thong coming out of his butt crack. And do you remember what it said?
Said real men listen to Whiskey Hell podcast.
There you go.
And it was simple and to the point. And, there were a lot of good ones. But I also didn't want to do the same as everybody. I knew a Will Smith one would come out because that was right when the slap of Chris Rock happened. And I didn't want to take also another copied meme and just recreate it. Right? You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was the first challenge. The second one was create a logo, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we created a logo for the Gruesome Twosome Movie Reviewsome. And Jess and Ebony. Well, Jess, I imagine, I don't know. Or I'm sorry, Ebony, I don't know if Jess created it or not. They made 2 hippos fucking, which was for our podcast, which was interesting. But I actually, it was at the same time that we were talking about you doing a collab with Gnome.
Mm-hmm.
And I created, it was right before I created the graphic for the Hateful Gnomes Music Hut, but we were kind of pissed off because you had gone scorched earth on this group. And there's no holds barred here. I mean, we're doing this for Tyler because Tyler was excommunicated out of this group. Mm-hmm. Because who the fuck has their 14-year-old daughter controlling their fucking Twitter? Provide a fucking warning label. Jesus Christ.
I get it. I mean, I get the fact like I went scorched earth because I was mad that the bracket got changed.
They changed the bracket, yeah. So Tyler bounced, and that was like step 1 for us. And we're like, well, shit, that sucks because we wanted to compete. Yeah. But then right after round 1, all these podcasts just decided that they didn't want to do it anymore. And so they started replacing people. And so we were supposed to go against Doom Generation in week 2. So we were pissed. So talk to me about this scorched earth thing that you went on.
My main thing was I was unhappy with, all right, I like if you make a set of rules and something happens, continue with it.
Yeah.
I don't like when things feel like it's made. To me at the moment, it felt like it was made on the fly. Like, okay, these guys didn't compete. So one, I'm pissed that people didn't compete. It reminds me of like whenever, I tried out for a lot of reality TV shows for like food and stuff, right? And I always laugh when I'd see somebody on Top Chef who makes it. And you're thinking like, you made it. You're in the top 16 of all these people, right? So 64 indie podcasts are in this bracket. You're in it. And you go, I want to go home. I'm not happy. It's like, you entered a fucking challenge. Like, that pisses me off. Like, or when you're like, hey, yeah, we're just not creative, or we're too stoned, or we just didn't want to do it. And it just seemed like a lot of that was happening. Well, the problem was, they just started moving stuff around.
Yeah.
And I understand, like, somebody commented back to us, because we were already working on the next round because we were so far ahead that we're like, we're going to win this. Okay, we'll go to this. And also we like to prep and put out good quality stuff.
Yeah.
So I flipped out because I was like, this isn't right, but the nice thing was I found out after other podcasts joined in with me and sort of felt the same way. And that's why some of the rule changes happened. But then it got into where I was just getting into it with people because I started seeing red. And I remember there was a moment where in another chat group where you're just like, I lost Jake. Jake's gone. There he goes.
Yep.
Like, I'm like an angry dog that won't let go.
Well, we have a message group with the dads on Dayquill for other things and for other reasons. And so I just went, well, there goes Jake. Jake is gone.
Yeah, I was gone for a few hours.
it was a hell of a day, but we came back. We fought against the gruesome twosome movie review some. Mm-hmm. Arguably, we had the best logo created that round. So I will just go out and say that. And then that paired us with Through the Fog. Correct.
Well, I'll go back to the logo thing, which was cool because they actually used it. They used your banner, and I will say when the challenges came out for this, it wasn't like it was a secret every week. Like we all knew the challenges, so I think that was another thing making people mad is that you knew from day one, what your challenges are. But two, that all the challenges. I mean, yeah, there were some like, hey, let's make fun of somebody, but then okay, let's help somebody. Okay, let's diss somebody, but then let's help somebody. Like,
right.
I mean. You're making a meme that's meant to make fun and have a good time, right? And it's sort of an icebreaker. The next one was make a logo. And hopefully you're going to do a good job that they could use. They used ours. Other people used ones that were made in this. And so it's like, okay, you're helping out another podcast. You're helping out other people in this. So that's the other reason I really liked this challenge because I'm like, okay, there's things you help. And then, the next one was make a promo for somebody.
Yeah.
And we actually have talked to Through the Fog after this, and he's used ours that we did for him. And I was proud of that.
No, and he's got some great graphics that went with it, went with our voices, the whole works. By the way, if you're not listening to Through the Fog, his episodes are about 6 or 7 minutes long. I actually really like it. I think it's really cool. Some people might not. It just depends on what their flavor is, but it's a horror podcast that he basically reads stories. And it's pretty legit.
Yeah, he does a good job. And like I said, that was helping out another podcast. And we've gotten to know a lot of good podcasts with it. There's moments that we've disliked. I think there's also the fatigue that went with this. And I mean, they've even said that damn podcast who's hosting it, they're learning from this. Like, okay, maybe the voting was too long. Hey, maybe, some of the ideas weren't the best ideas because we did the promo. We won that one. We moved on. We were really hoping we were going to go up against Dads on Dayquil.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
So here you can say what happened next after this.
Yeah. So we were doing a prank call. So we actually had a really funny prank call. I'll be completely honest here. Nobody prank calls anybody anymore. So we did a good job creating a prank call scenario. It was a legit call. We made a phone call. It wasn't scripted, but there was a premise to it. Like we had an idea of what we were going to do, and it actually turned out to be a lot more comedic than I think either one of us thought initially. Mm-hmm. So it was a good job. I had to do quite a bit of editing to try to keep it under the 2 minutes and 20 seconds for Twitter, but it was funny. Got really good reviews. And so compared to the other things that were out there, I thought that we did a really good job there too. But I was really excited to go against Doom Generation, and Doom Generation didn't participate. 69 Whiskey eliminated Dads, but they didn't eliminate Dads in the prank call round, did they?
No, so they eliminated Dads. That's what I was saying. So we were, and we're buddies. And I mean, you want to see your friends succeed. And it's not that there was other people in the bracket we didn't want to see succeed, but you know how it is. It's like you got your best friends over there, right? And so we were like, okay, we did this challenge. We're probably going to end up meeting in the final four. I mean, that's what we were all hoping for, right?
Yeah.
And they ended up losing the promo one, so they didn't get to do the prank call. Well, then that's where it really unraveled in this bracket. Everybody started backing out.
Well, Doom Generation didn't. Yeah, Doom Generation didn't submit a prank call. Right. 69 Whiskey didn't submit a prank call. The What Are We Doing podcast didn't submit a prank call.
Right. Cold
Callers lost to Dungeons and Podcasts, and but they got more votes than the other team that lost, Seismic Cinema.
Right.
So with some discussion and some angst about going into the next round, there was feedback requested for how that should be handled. Now, in a typical tournament format, if nobody participates, then neither team moves forward, and that would have put us in the finals anyway. Right. But we went against Cold Collars Comedy, and they put out a pretty good diss track. So that was the next round, was the diss track.
Yeah, that was a great diss track. I still am hungry for dick for dinner. I'll say that. That was my favorite line in that. Or when they say suck my dick, I think 30 times at the end.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I was actually scared of them. I'll be upfront.
I was too.
I failed. As I told you, I think I can come up with good lyrics. Me and you were not on the same page. I couldn't get it right. I reached out to a really good friend, Travis Thomas, and he came up with a really fun beat for us, and I just couldn't do it. And it was
hard though. It was hard because we were trying to record it remotely. Like, we're in 2 different states where we record through a software program, trying to time that all up. It's just kind of a nightmare.
Well, and I was timing in 1.5 speed. You're timing in regular speed. There were so many problems. And I think I finally finished my product at 1 a.m. on a dresser in my brother's house on vacation. Yeah. After I was having audio issues too, and cable issues and all these other things. So to pile on with it. But reached out to a really good friend, made a really fun beat. We were going against them. But Cold Collars, this is what they do. They make parody songs. Yeah. And they had a really good one. The nice thing was the Salty Hippo Nation, our fans, you guys all came out and really helped us push through with that. And we won. And it was a close vote, and we won, so we made it to the top.
At that point, gag on this, Big Nick and Porn Stash wanted to do a couple diss tracks, wanted me and you to do some diss tracks. So we put out a couple of diss tracks that I thought went over very, very well. I thought that they were done fine. But that put us into the final round, and we're in the final round against Dungeons and Podcasts. By the time this episode comes out on Sunday, the final tally will already be set in stone. We don't really know if we're going to win or not, but as it sits right now, we're sitting about 50-50. Yeah. So we'll see how that works out. We've got more votes than we've had in any other round. And then they've doubled their vote tally almost from any other round as well. So you want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a fun one. We they were trying to, that was the only round, as I said, when this started, they had every round announced of what we will do. And then they said the final one will be a surprise. And you know, they candidly said, okay, do people have ideas? And I finally came up with the idea, hey, this is a podcast bracket. Why don't we have the 2 teams against each other imitate the other podcast and release like a parody episode, if you were. And it was fun for me because to be honest, I actually play D&D. I used to play Riffs. I used to play a lot of those things. So this was more in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, not even close to being in mine.
I had a lot of fun with this, but the nice part about it was, B-Word, I just told you, hey man, you're going to be yourself. I'm going to D&D this up and have fun, and you just react. And I think that's sometimes everything in life is the best, like real reactions, right? Yeah. Where you are literally just like, what the hell is going on? And I'm just being, me and these characters and having fun. And I thought we recorded a great one. Again, we reached out to our buddy Travis Thomas, and he came out with a really great, a really good song that he released years ago that I hang on to everything, as everybody knows, that I've had. And I reached out and said, hey, can we use this? He's like, yep, because it went perfectly. And we came up with a good product. And it was fun because we kept to the Twitter time limit. So we posted a clip of it, said, if you want to listen to the whole thing, go to YouTube. You can still do that. It was fun. We parodied their show. They parodied ours. And everybody put out a decent enough product where we're happy. And it's just voting. I mean, essentially, we're going to see who wins this and, the prizes and stuff. I mean, I think it's sort of melancholy, right? It's like, yeah. I'm happy it's over because, I mean, this has been a long 6 weeks.
It's
been a lot of extra stuff that we probably normally wouldn't have done. But it is a learning experience. It is fun. It's gotten us, as I said, to meet a bunch of other shows, to use some logos, to work with other people, to think outside of our box, all that stuff, right? It's also taught us other valuable lessons of like who we wouldn't want to work with and why, and who, just being upfront. Like, these are things I don't want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, overall with it for you, B-Word, how do you feel?
I feel really good. I'm proud of the content we put out. We competed last year, I want to say might have been the beginning of this year, for the KCRW podcast challenge out of LA. And that made us think outside of the box, but it was literally a one-time thing. We had to record, I don't know, a few minutes of something using a topic. And it was a challenge for us, but I felt like we did a good job with the topic at hand. This one has been a challenge every single week. And it's been a challenge where, I've been successful at, but it's also been a challenge where you've been successful at. So obviously when it came to the logos and stuff, I was like, I got it. Just leave it alone. Yeah. I'm doing all of it. Don't even worry about it. When it came to like the D&D stuff, dude, I've never played Magic the Gathering. I couldn't even tell you what a D&D table looks like. Like the closest thing that I came to it is watching Stranger Things. So we've complemented each other in a lot of different ways on this. And to be honest with you, I think it really got our creativity juices flowing, and the competition has not been light. I mean, yeah, Doom Generation didn't turn in their stuff the one week, and I get it. It's a lot of work, ladies. Like, I don't blame you, but it's a ton of work, dude. I think we've talked more over the last 6 weeks trying to prepare for all of this than we have just recording a podcast. I mean, we're in touch multiple times a day, if not more. Yeah. It's been pretty crazy, but there has been some talk about diss tracks. So we did the diss tracks for Porn Stash this week. Pretty happy with that one. I thought that was good. You played a good hype man on that one, and we talked about how they like to Dutch rudder and candlelight, which I think is also a good thing. But I think I'm most proud of the little diss track I put together for Big Nick. So to kind of pull the curtain back on this one, Nick said if he got to, was it 10,000 Twitter followers, he'd show his boobies, and he did. So his diss track was Big Nick with the big tits, and it was awesome. I enjoyed that one.
So what on this bracket was your exact favorite piece of competition? Whether that be who you went against, whether it be what we produced, whether it be the work behind it. What was your favorite part of this whole bracket?
I think the logo for Jess and Ebony was probably where I shined the most. Only because I was able to translate that into making a fucking killer logo for the Hateful Gnome.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of the Hateful Gnomes logo. I spent a lot of time doing that one that weekend. I've got a friend of mine who's a graphic designer, Carlos, who actually created South of Salty Hippo for us. So check out Noble Studios if you guys got a chance. But he gave me some feedback on it, and I created it, and I was very happy with the outcome of it. Mm-hmm. But in addition to that, I really enjoyed the challenge, because the logo that I made for Doom Generation wasn't even close to the quality that I put out for Gruesome Twosome. So right. I don't know what that would have looked like had we gone up against Doom Generation that week. So that one's probably my favorite round. What about you?
The prank call. I think it was my first moment to really shine on this. I mean, I think the meme, I sort of just called you and said, here's what we need to do, man. Here's a meme. Don't overthink this. Let's just do it. The prank call, because we literally didn't know what we were doing until 10 minutes before. And yeah. I think we can admit this, B-word about me. The difference with me and you at times is I am a planner, but I'm a turn on the mic, let me go, and something probably good will come out of it, and we can critique it and work on it. But we've seen it again too, where I usually take one take and it's great, and I try to replicate that and I fuck it up miserably. I'll have 40 more and you have to laugh at me. I'm a one take kind of guy usually. That's why live TV usually works for me. But I just enjoyed it because 10 minutes before I said, here's my idea, here's what we're going to do. We got the call out there, and it was one take and it worked perfectly. There was some editing, but it worked out great.
It's funny too, because I think there was a point, and we weren't arguing, but I think that there was a point where we kind of felt like we're battling over what we're trying to do here. Like it tested us so much that week, because nobody makes prank calls anymore, that we really didn't know what we were doing. And literally 10 minutes beforehand, I think we talked about it 5 or 6 times up until that point, and we had 5 or 6 different ideas. Mm-hmm. And the one idea we were going to do was we were going to prank call people with quotes from Doom Generation. And that was just going to be an editing nightmare. And I'm like, no, we are not doing that. Mm-hmm. I am not holding on to all those.
The next one was I wanted to imitate like Christopher Walken and all these people, and you were like, again, this is an editing nightmare.
Yeah.
Because
well, and I didn't
heard their show, and I was going to talk and act like we were on the phone with them.
Well, and so I have a Roadcaster. And if those of you that aren't in recording don't know what a Roadcaster is, it's more or less everything that, it's a mixer more or less, but it has Bluetooth. So we were able to Bluetooth a call in, and both of us were able to hear, being in two different states, and we were able to interact, and it was really fun. So I agree with you, man. The prank call was really good. Which one would you say was the most frustrating?
Oh, for me, it was the rap. And it's because you've heard stuff that I've done. I can actually write really good lyrics. I've freestyled before. I can usually do it. I can usually come up with a song off the top of my head and make it work easy, like a parody, like Weird Al. But for some reason, I just couldn't get this right. And I think I was frustrating myself so damn much that I was like hitting you up like, hey, man, like, I don't know what to do here. I'm having a hard time. Hey, man, I can't get this. Then I sent you some tracks and I hated it. So then I was like, hey, man, I'm going to re-record this Vegas. And I can tell you were just like, okay. And then I was working on it forever and it wasn't working. Like I was having audio technical difficulties and stuff. And then you wake up and there's 40 emails from me because it kept sending you every damn track that was not happening. And I think, like I said, I finished at 1 or 2 in the morning and I was exhausted. I finally just did a take. And I'll be honest. I am not happy to put out something I'm not proud of. And I will commend you because you're like, hey man, I can just finish it and just do the whole thing. But then you listened back and said the stuff I did too, I'm not like super happy with. So we put it out. I felt like, I should have contributed better because there were a few moments in this, like you were saying with the prank call, where it felt like we were fighting, but we weren't.
Yeah.
I think it was good and bad for us in the sense of this. We realized boundaries for each other. We also realized how we work well together. We also realized how to work through something that's hard, because to be upfront, and this isn't a bragging point or anything, but this podcast is easy for us.
Yeah.
We're best friends. Yeah. We enjoy talking. We don't care if we argue. We don't care if we agree. There's not a lot that we're like, no, we're not talking about that tonight. No, I don't want to do that. I'll take over this. I think we've had maybe a few things here and there that might have just been like, okay, that might perturb me, but it's not enough to like piss me off. Like maybe last night when I couldn't record, but you get what I mean? Like through this thing, we realize how to work more creatively together. Because the good and the bad of this show being easy is sometimes we don't have to think creatively. We just sort of say, here's what we're going to do. We break it down. We have a plan and we talk.
I really like how you threw in last night because I told you to stop apologizing.
Yeah,
you fucking
that wasn't an apology.
G's.
I was bringing.
I know, but you're just bringing it up. Yeah. But the only thing was, and now granted, so I'm still in college, but I don't have a whole lot of homework this week, so it was kind of nice. But I'd have just got my homework done last night as opposed to tonight. So no big deal. But we got Hateful Gnome done. You guys had a good episode. That's going to come out a couple days before this episode comes out. That's a good, fun project regarding music. We obviously talked about doing some diss tracks. If you haven't heard our diss tracks, check it out on all of our socials. It's at Bleach Bros Pod. One of them is called The Fappening. That one is about Porn Stash, and then the other one is Big Nick with the big tits. Both of them are worth a watch. I think they're both posted on Instagram and Twitter. So check those out. But tonight we're going to talk a little bit more about some music. And you have a topic tonight that you wanted to discuss.
There is times on this show that we talk about something that's happening really big in the, we got to be somewhat current, right? But we also don't want to always jump on the bandwagon train and talk about every other damn show's talking about. But Kendrick Lamar just released his newest album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. And I've been excited for this project for a while. I'm a big K-Dot fan. I really enjoy his music. I like how he evolves every album, if it were. And so I was really pumped up about this. I listened to it. It was at midnight. I was in Vegas on vacation, and I remember stayed up. And once it came out, I listened to the whole album that night. And now they said it's a double album, but I have a hard time believing that because it's 18 tracks.
It's only about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes long.
And
it's
I'm
not
sorry,
very
that's
long.
not a double album to me, but we're from still in the day of, you buy a Mace double up album, or, you'd get the Tupac greatest hits 2 discs in it, you know what I mean? And that's a lot of songs. So, but I really enjoyed this album. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Kendrick, rank his albums, some rap and stuff. And I'm gonna throw this to you before we rank his stuff, B-Word. What did you think of this album?
So let me preface by saying I do like Kendrick Lamar. I like several of his songs, but this album was fucking garbage. I'm just going to put it out there.
I can't believe you're saying
this. Not only was this album garbage, like I actually, like the only thing that I deserve an apology for this week is the fact that we're going to talk about this fucking album, because this was not good at all. Like lyrically, I could understand how some people would like the album. But for me, I don't know, man. I don't have the same appreciation of art when it comes to music as other people do. Like I felt like I was in a slam poetry session with Kendrick Lamar, and I was really looking for a beat, a hook, a chorus, a bridge, something to get me to and from. And then of course the music would transition mid-song. Mm-hmm. And that just bothers me. I felt like the only band that I think could ever do that would be like Queen.
Okay.
That's really the only one who I've not had a problem with doing that. I don't know. I guess I just didn't probably understand it, but am I going to listen to it again so I can understand it? Fuck no. So
it was like homework to you. You had to sit through it. Okay. Was there any track on here that you could pick out that you're like, okay, I could sort of handle that?
So the one that I liked was Father Time, and I guess that would be the one. I don't even know that I would say that I liked it. I liked it better than all the other songs on there. I mean, I thought N95 was okay, to a certain extent, but the rest of the songs, I don't know. Like I said, I just didn't get them, and I'm not trying to sit here and say that I don't like music or that I don't understand rap. Or I think there's a couple things here that are hard for me. Number one, this one is very much a cultural album. And so I think you have to understand the culture a little bit more to appreciate it. And while I want to be diversified in things that I'm experienced in, or things that I read about or listen to, I just didn't understand it. It was something. And with the cadence of his rap, it was very much like new rap. It was da 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 da, and there was like nothing to it. Like it never transitioned to me. It was just, I didn't like it.
Well, and you're not a fan of new rap.
No, right? I'm not.
No, you like old school.
I do.
See, I'll say this. It's hard for me to, in your defense, to say that there's a banger on this song that's like an actual hit. When it first came out and I listened to it all the way through, and then I listened to somebody review it, and they're like, yeah, there's not really, this isn't an album where there's going to be a radio single. And I agree with that. I think N95 they're pumping out, and of course it'll do well. I'm in the camp where I like this album. It's not my favorite album ever by him. But I am hating on the people that are agreeing with me right now. And in this regard, B-Word, I feel like it's sort of like that Super Bowl theory I said on our episode, where it's new. Everybody's been waiting for it. So it's the best ever. Oh, I love it so much, because you have to, if you like rap, of course you have to like Kendrick now. Right. And it's like, if Eminem comes with an album, it's almost always praised. There have been a few that have failed. Right. But almost every time, before you even listen to the whole damn thing, you've heard how amazing it is. And right. I think he's gotten to that level of fame where he can release anything. It's going to sell so much and people are going to praise it. Right.
Right.
Now, I really liked this album. I really liked the, what he was talking about, stuff like that. I like some of my favorite tracks. We Cry Together, the one where him and the lady are fighting, his old lady. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of Eminem when he was fighting with Kim in the car and murders her.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
If they actually had a conversation back and forth. And I that's the one thing I really liked about that song. I was like, okay, this is like how this would break down. When she was like, stop tap dancing around at the end of it, stop tap dancing around the problem or the question or whatever.
Right.
I was like, okay, I don't see that. Like Silent Hill, I thought was really good. Purple Hearts, Rich Spirit. A lot of these tracks I really liked. I've had to listen to them over again though, to not just get message but to really like hear it. But I still really enjoy this album. Like I said, it's not my favorite album by him ever, but it's still in my top 5.
Okay. So speaking of top 5, and I think with his was it his EP?
Well, all his projects. I mean, you can count any of his projects. Yeah.
So you've got, because I've got 6 Kendrick albums that I have on a list here, but I am curious either go top 5 or top 6, whatever you want to do, and I'll match what you have. Let's go top 5. All right.
Top 5 do you want to go bottom to top or top to bottom? Let's
go bottom to top.
Okay. To Pimp a Butterfly.
Really?
Yep. Everybody, I actually have a whole comment about this, so I'm gonna fly through these, and I'll let you fly through yours, and I'll explain. So to Pimp a Butterfly, Section 80, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and the new one, Damn, and then Good Kid, Mad City. This topic sort of got brought up from a guest that's been on our show, Jordan Robinson. Him and I, every year, he usually tags me in a few posts to talk about music. And I'm one of those people, sort of like my draft day picks that everybody likes to shit on or goes, holy crap, why is he talking? I listed out before that. He said, hey, list out your Kendrick albums before this album comes out where you're at. And I put Damn on there, and he wrote, Jake, I think you're the only person on the planet who thinks Damn is better than To Pimp a Butterfly.
Yeah.
And I can agree with that statement, but that's where I'm at with them. Where do you rank his albums?
I've got Damn as number 5.
Okay.
Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers as number 4.
You like Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers better than Damn?
I do.
Wow.
And that's how bad I dislike Damn. Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City, then To Pimp a Butterfly as number 1.
Wow. How do you, you hate Mr. Morale and you put Damn at the bottom.
I do.
I'll never understand you, B-word. I will never fucking understand.
I mean, I'm not saying that Kendrick Lamar is not talented. Kendrick Lamar is a super talented dude. And he did a banging job at the Super Bowl halftime show with Snoop, Dre, Eminem, and 50. I love some of Kendrick's songs. Like, they're some of my favorite songs. But maybe it's me, but I think there's a lot of people out there, when songs hit mainstream and they're on rotation, that's what helps me to fall in love with the song. Like, if you ask me about, the song on the B side of whoever's, mixtape, I probably am not going to tell you all about it. I mean, that's something that you and Gnome are going to get more into than me. But if the song is playable, like, I would never enter one of these albums into the everlasting jukebox. I will tell you that right now. Okay. But I Kendrick is a talented guy. I appreciate his music. I guess for me, I just, I don't understand it. It's not like it's bad. It's art. It's subjective. So for me, some of these projects I just don't understand, and that's fine.
So would you say it's fair that you would be the guy, like, if we talked about rap and hip hop, that you're going to be the guy that likes stuff that's on the radio compared to any underground or anything like that?
I don't know about that. I'm more of the guy. So when it comes to rap and hip hop, like you said, I'm more of an old school guy. An old school me would buy the album, or would burn the album, or would rip the album, and I would listen to the entire album, because we didn't have the luxury that we do now, where it's you purchase a track or you download a track. Everything was album based. Yeah. So either you liked the album or you didn't, based on the tracks on the album. So I love listening to the other tracks that aren't played on the radio. But right now we've become a society that's all about airplay and all about radio play. Okay. And when it comes to, like, Kendrick in this example, I like his songs that have taken off and have played on the radio. I don't really like his songs that I don't understand.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, I can see that. And I can see how that could be part of, like, the culture aspect, as you said, right?
Right.
I'm just surprised how Damn is below Mr. Morale, especially since you think Mr. Morale is such trash.
Because I think Damn is more trash.
Yeah, I know. Well,
I'm actually shocked it's your number one. Please justify why.
It's not my number one. It's Good Kid, Mad City is my number one. Good Kid,
okay.
Mad City is my number one. I think that was the first album I was introduced to Section 80 first, but that's the first album I really listened to back to back.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just really enjoyed Damn. I like the differences on the album that it has, and I think that's why I like Mr. Morale better than the Pimp a Butterfly. The Pimp a Butterfly is a great album. To me, they're top 5, and they can sort of be interchangeable. That's just where I would put them based on listenability and stuff.
Fair enough. We had Kurt from Happy Hour Bros on here once, and at that time we were trying to talk about underground hip hop, and we were doing a ranking. I don't remember if we were doing it as a Everlasting Jukebox segment or if we were just ranking rap albums.
Right.
But that got me thinking, and I know that we've discussed off air that, I don't know that we've ever listed our top 5 rappers. We are both prepared to give our top 5 rappers.
Right.
Do you have any honorable mentions? And if so, how many? Because I have 4.
Well, so I have 4 because I remember to throw the curtain back, we talked about a top 5. You also came back to me and said I have 9. I do have 4 honorable mentions, and the hard thing for me is people are going to hate my list. I know this. I don't fucking care. I had to mix some new age and old in there, right? And I do have that theory too, sort of like, Tupac's almost in everybody's because there's so many great songs, right? Don't deny that. But also, you have to like it, right? If you're gonna be indoctrined into rap, there are certain things that you have to like if you're indoctrined into a system, as people joke, right? But I'm going to do, if I had to put 4 extra ones in there, it would be Tech 9. I'm a huge Tech 9 fan.
He almost made my top 5. So I have no problem with that.
New Age is Joyner Lucas. I've become a huge fan of Joyner Lucas. And in that same vein is Logic.
I like
Logic
too.
I have every album. People sort of give me shit for that, but I'm okay with it. And then it would be Yellow Wolf.
Yellow Wolf is actually pretty underrated.
Yeah, I mean, he goes crazy when he's on drugs and stuff, but he's that Alabama rapper. It's that style, the cadence, but it's also because he's one of those guys. At times, he does that. There's some songs that seem more musically talented than the rest. It's not just always rap, and I enjoy that.
Yeah.
So that's why he's in there. So those would be my 4 honorable mentions. Who do you got?
So I have Tech 9 as an honorable mention. I have Ice Cube as an honorable mention. Ice Cube was probably closer than Tech 9 to making my top 5, to be candid with you, but they were both on the line.
Okay.
Nas. Nas did not make my top 5. I know Nas will probably be on a lot of people's top 5, but I didn't grow up listening to Nas. Like, I don't know why. He just wasn't on rotation. I appreciate him a lot more now than I did back then, and I think that that's probably wise because he's not as nostalgic as some of these other people. Okay. This one people might give me some shit for. Missy Elliott. Missy Elliott is a great lyricist. From a rapper's perspective, she's dope, dude. I love Missy Elliott, especially when she raps backwards and says whatever she says. I'm totally fine with it. But yeah, those are my 4 honorable mentions.
I can't get on board with that. That to me feels like you're, I don't know. Whatever. I don't even have anything to say about trash bag wearing. But you can dig it. Whatever she says, dude. I just can't. It's hard to do the top 5 because you want to put in artists you're listening to now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to put in who's on the Rushmore, right? So let's do this back and forth. Let's not fire through these like everything else tonight. Who's your number 5 rapper of all time?
I don't know that I can put them in order, so I'm going to be completely candid, but I will give them to you of how I have them written down.
Okay.
Andre 3000.
See, he almost made my list.
Okay.
And I get it, but I'm one of these people, right, that I count the group over the artist because that's what I know him as, right? Where he's and so that's hard for me to differentiate that, if that makes sense. So I get it.
I get that. I almost had that as an argument too. So I mean, I understand that. I just think as a lyricist, he's so good. Like even when he's in Outkast, he's good. The way he spits it out, He's lyrical. He's got a flow. He's a good actor, actually. Yeah. Not that matters for rappers as we're ranking them, but yeah, Andre 3000 is my number 5. Who do you got?
Kanye West.
Kanye almost made Kanye was like in and out of my list, to be honest with you.
I'm not trying to have the cop out for the producer thing, but looking back on it, especially after we did the Genius episode and we talked about his documentary and seeing all the songs he's been involved in, and I love every album he puts out. I love the latest one. I just like his work. And I think he's so creatively beyond a lot of people that he'll always be on my Mount Rushmore of rappers, because I feel like he's one of those guys that can almost do no wrong with an album. There'll be something on there I'm going to like, whether it's beats, whether it's certain hooks, whether it's that. I mean, I might not like the whole damn album, but there's still going to be some bangers on there that I can't stop listening to.
I can hop on board that train. I like Kanye. I think that Kanye's, we've talked about it before, almost ad nauseum, but Kanye is a super talented individual that whether he's rapping, producing, creating beats, like you said, the talent is unbelievable. So I don't blame you for him being on your top 5.
Okay.
The next one on my list is Jay-Z. A lot of people will say Jay-Z's number 1. Really? I put Jay-Z at probably number 4, number 5 on any given list. Jay-Z's incredible as far as the lyrics he comes out with, the beats he comes out with, who he works with, and how he works with them. His albums, there's a growth to his albums from when you start listening to Jay to now. For some reason, I don't like calling him Hove. I don't know why. It just bothers me. His name's Jay-Z. I understand why he's saying Hove, but whatever. It's like ladies love Cool J, I guess, right? So, but I love Jay-Z's album. I think that he's got a lot of influences from rappers that I really enjoy listening to. And I can hear those influences through his music. He pulls from the Tupacs. He pulls from the Biggies. He pulls from the Run DMCs. He pulls from a lot of these different places that have influenced him, but he turns out a product that's actually really done well, if that makes sense. So I would probably put him solidly at number 4 on this list right now. But who do you got?
See, my number 4 used to be your number 4's rival, and it's Nas. Jay-Z didn't even make mine. I feel like I relate to him more with his radio hits than anything else. Okay. Mind you, Reasonable Doubt's probably one of my favorite rap albums around, like in top 10 wise. But I don't know. I'm the opposite of you. I loved older Jay-Z compared to newer Jay-Z.
Oh, I'm with you there. I just think that his albums have a more mature sound to them. I'm not saying that I like them more.
But see, I remember the first time I was introduced to Nas, right? And that was Stillmatic, not Illmatic, like most people. I was introduced to Stillmatic, and the song Rewind always has stuck with me, where he sings the song. It's almost in backwards, right, in the music video and everything. And I just became a huge fan after that. Like, I love the fucking song Ether, where he's just shitting on Jay-Z, and it's fucking incredible. I was actually watching him before this, like those mini documentaries on YouTube where somebody was talking that apparently Jay-Z had a different diss track to respond to Ether that never got released. But yeah, so my number 4 is Nas. I think lyrically, everything does. Actually a really good actor too, but his music, I think, just has it's that grit oomph that just hits you. Right. And I don't get that with Jay-Z. So, and it's not that I'm trying to battle out with this with you, but I think it.
I think it's a good discussion.
I think it's funny that our number 4s, if we're doing it in that order, are the exact people who are the opposites of each other, and
right.
We're beefing. Right. But that's my number 4. Number 3 for me. And everybody else will hate on me because this can deal with another beef, is Tupac. I'm a West Coast boy, always have been, always will be. I think Tupac was the greater of the two evils that were coming out that time. Biggie's not even in my top 10.
Fuck out of here.
Tupac,
seriously?
Yeah, he's not. I mean, I like.
How Biggie. Do you not have Biggie?
Because I don't. Ride or die.
Fuck all of that, dude.
Tupac was so good, dude.
Biggie's so much better than Tupac.
I don't see that. I don't see it. And here's the thing: you can look at radio hits, you can look at lyrics, you can look at like melodies and symphonies and everything he does, melodic tones, poetry, everything to me. Biggie could spit words and flow really good. And I'm not denying he's not great. But if I had to hands down choose between him and Tupac, it's Tupac 100 times out of 10.
So I'm going to put this in perspective. You're putting Nas, Tupac, and Tech 9 above Biggie.
For me, yeah. Now,
Who the fuck
when
are
you
you?
say Tech 9, when you say Tech 9, it sounds like my draft day pick. But I'll say this: in my top 5, yeah, Biggie's not there, and I'm putting them above him.
Biggie
dude.
wasn't even an honorable mention?
No, not for me.
Really?
No, not for me. Biggie's not on my honorable mention.
My God.
I know he's probably like your number one, because I'm Big Papa or whatever. I'm surprised you don't have Twista yet.
No, Twista's not on my list. I like Twista, though.
So who's your number 3 then?
My number 3 is Tupac.
Really? So
Yeah.
you agree with me. Thank God.
I agree with you in the ranking of Tupac. I love Tupac. I think that Tupac is one of the greatest rappers. He's one of the greatest lyricists. I loved watching. I don't remember what I was watching. I don't remember if it was a documentary or what it was, but the making of Machiavelli.
Mhm.
How he did that, all the songs that went into it, and of course that was released posthumously. But you know, he's what I appreciate about Biggie is I think that Biggie's a better storyteller than Tupac is. Tupac's more of I don't even want to say party rap, but he's like a
This is where hip hop.
he's got more he's got more anger in his voice. I guess let's go with that.
Good.
And I'm fine with that. But he also his hits though, California Love, is that the song?
Yeah, with Dr. Dre. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're looking at that. You look at a lot of the different singles that he's been able to put out. Dear Mama. I mean, some of the major ones, really, really great songs. I just don't think from a storytelling perspective, it's better than Biggie. I look at Biggie's like 10 Crack Commandments, and he's basically going through a story of when he was selling coke or crack and what he had to do that. I hear Tupac rap and I hear Tupac angry at this dude, and he's going to go fuck this dude's wife. And like, I appreciate both. I just don't think that Tupac's better than Biggie, but I do think that Tupac is number 3. So I'll agree with you there.
I listen to songs like Changes and I Ain't Mad at You and all that. And I hear the story and I
love
relate
those songs.
to those stories. Right. I relate to those stories more than I do with Biggie. See, to me, Biggie was, and I didn't have a lot of albums growing up of his, maybe that's part of it. That all I heard was his hits to start out with, right? And it was just like, okay, cool. Like, it's that, and I think that me and you were introduced to rappers in a different way, sort of like that East Coast, West Coast thing. I know you were introduced to Biggie more than Tupac.
Actually, well, maybe. I was more introduced to like Dre and Snoop, to be honest with you. Okay. But Biggie was probably next. Because it was all the MTV generation. Like that's mostly where I started listening to a lot of this stuff was on MTV. But Tupac was in jail for a little while, so like he wasn't releasing anything, and that's probably about the time that I started really focusing on this stuff, and so Biggie was coming out with stuff. So yeah.
Is he the only artist that's released more being dead than alive that you can think of? I mean, Tupac has so many albums that come out.
Yeah,
that was the rumor while he was alive. You remember every album was coming out like every year. You got a new one.
I think you're probably correct as far as published albums. I would probably argue that Prince or Michael Jackson have more of a catalog.
Okay.
But they're obviously not rappers. So, but yeah, probably. I think you're probably right on that one. But since you cut in front of me, I'm going to cut in front of you. My number 2 is Biggie. For all the reasons that I said, also had a better biopic than Tupac did. Not that matters, but yeah, Biggie is good. The only thing about Biggie that I don't like is Puffy.
Okay. P. Diddy, you don't like P. Diddy?
No, I've never really liked P. Diddy. I didn't like him as Puff Daddy. I didn't like him as Puffy. What I did like about the movie Notorious is that Biggie's mom is like, who the fuck is Puffy? Or like, what grown ass man calls himself Puffy? I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Fucking Puffy. I didn't even like Puffy when he was dating Jenny from the Block. Like, fuck that dude. Yeah, but no, I like Biggie. So,
okay,
who's your number 2?
Eminem. Eminem is always high on my list. I have every one of his albums. I've always appreciated him. I think he's an amazing lyricist, amazing artist. So yeah,
your number 1 is gonna piss me the fuck off.
It's gonna piss everybody off. And and here's the best part. I'll give you this too. I'll give you a little secret. My number 10's Kendrick. He didn't even make this list, even though we just talked about his albums and I love him. He's in my top 10, but we only did 9. So
my number 1 is Eminem, which means that your number 1 is DMX.
Where my dogs at? Arr, arr. Hell yeah, dude.
That is the stupidest goddamn choice for a number 1 rapper.
It is not. You know why? Because this is my list, and this is how I feel, and this is how I love rap, and this is what made me love this music. This anger. Look, this makes the hater. He is an angry motherfucker.
I'm okay with being influenced by rappers, and I think that DMX is a good rapper, and I think that that's fine if you're influenced by him. But there is no way that DMX is better than Eminem, is better than Tupac, is better than Tech Nine. Well, maybe he's better than Tech Nine, is better than whoever the fuck else was on your list. Like, why? Oh, Nas, that's right. Why, dude?
Because I love him. I love every album he puts out. I love DMX.
I hope to God this podcast goes somewhere and somebody can actually listen to this episode and all of a sudden we're canceled because of your fucking opinion.
They're going to cancel us from anything that starts with a D. Draft Day, DMX, talking about the DayQuil boys.
The Dendrophilia bros.
Oh. All right, so who was your number 2 then? Did you already say that?
Yeah.
Okay, number 1 was Eminem.
My number 1's Eminem. Right. My number 3, number 2 is Biggie. Okay, number 3 is Tupac. Right. So yeah, we went down that.
So okay, Eminem, I think you agree with me, but yeah, DMX. But here's the thing: you knew this. Let's not be stupid.
Okay, no, here. I'm not saying no. Don't tell me I knew this. I knew that he was your favorite rapper. I didn't think that you thought he was the greatest rapper. Well, he's not alive anymore.
I would. Yeah, for me, he's number 1 on my list all time.
So who's the greatest rapper alive?
Oh, alive that's not dead?
Mm-hmm. Would you go with Eminem by default?
Eminem. Well, Eminem, I think, is the greatest rapper right now, showcasing what he can do. I think that goes for a whole nother argument for another episode and another day of who's the best lyricist. Like I love listening to Royce da 5'9" and Eminem go at it.
I love Royce da 5'9".
Like I remember when I was telling you about that because we had a long conversation. I think this was a year ago. We were like, "Oh, have you heard of Obi Trice?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "You need to check out Royce da 5'9", and you were like,
"Don't say that was a year ago." Like I don't know who Obi Trice is. That was probably 5 years ago.
You asked me about Obi Trice
10 years ago.
Whatever. No, you asked me about Obi Trice, and I was telling you about Royce da 5'9". No,
dude, I've known those two rappers for years.
No, we were rehashing that talk. We weren't. This wasn't like I just brought this up. We brought that back up.
I thought you were trying to put me on blast for not knowing who either of those rappers were. I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? I will digitally bitch slap you right now.
It was one of those moments where you were like, "Hey, have you heard this guy?" And I was like, "You got to hear this guy in this camp." And we introduced each other to some music, and then we were just talking about it last year, like rehashing it when we were going through stuff.
Yeah.
But I'd say Eminem for alive. I mean, like I said, we talked a lot about K-Dot and his albums and stuff, which, okay, so you hate calling Jay-Z Hove. Do you like calling Kendrick K-Dot?
I don't much care about that.
Okay. Is there like rappers that have a certain name that you just were like Hove that you're just like, no? Like Lil Wayne's Wheezy. Who else you got?
I'm fine with that. So I love Lil Dicky. I'm just going to put it out there. He's obviously not on my top 5 list or even top 10. But I love Lil Dicky, dude. I think Lil Dicky's great because he's a comedic rapper. He's not just about doing whatever. I hate the name Lil Yachty. I hate the name, Tekashi 6ix9ine. Like these rappers that are out today, like when we were talking about what we wanted to talk about and you're like, no, dude, we're gonna do 1 through 5 old school rappers and then we're gonna do 1 through 5 new age. I'm like, I don't fucking listen to new age
at all. You put Tekashi on there?
Fuck no. But yeah, it's a male version of What's Her Nuts that says wet ass pussy. Yeah, no, I'm over that, dude. But, well, anyway, man, we've had a good show. I do want to just thank anybody who's listening to this that are part of That Damn Podcast, Indie Podcast Bracket. We really have enjoyed competing against you. We've enjoyed getting your votes. We've enjoyed getting to know you. We've enjoyed knowing to stay away from some of you. So we appreciate all of that. But with that, Jake, what do you got for us?
Thanks for all the dirty talk, and come back and get sanitized.